Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it's NMeade here, and we are finally back with more world record review for Mario Kart Wii World Records. Throughout this month, we will be catching up on the last few months' activity, getting caught up to June's activity. In today's video, we will be covering the world record activity for March 2021. 9 new world records were set across 6 unique tracks. The first 2 months of 2021 were huge for the time trial scene, and March continued the trend as well. Let's get started. Starting us off promptly on March 1st, a huge milestone was reached on Wario's Gold Mine glitch. Logan becomes the first player to sub 32 seconds on Wario's Gold Mine glitch, with a time of 31.882. It's hard to believe that it's been over 12 years since the discovery and implementation of this glitch in time trials way back in January of 2009. Pipe bounces on the pipes underneath the bridge were not discovered and implemented until Sphinx's 47550 on January 22, 2009, doing 1 pipe bounce in the run. The previous glitch world records beforehand made use of respawning all 3 laps, manipulating the checkpoints correctly with using a shroom on lap 1 and doing a shroomless on laps 2 and 3. The first 3 for 3 pipe bounce world record was performed by Poyo with a time of 35.701 on March 25th of 2009. From Poyo's first 3 for 3 world record until present day, we have battles back and forth between Mr. Bean and McRaran, with Mr. Bean staying dedicated to Luigi Mach Bike and McRaran to Funky Flame Runner. Justin eventually toppling Mr. Bean's collective reign on Wario's Gold Mine, McRaran coming back after so many years to reclaim the world record 9 years later and competing versus Logan to present day on this category of Wario's Gold Mine. Mario Kart Wii's longest lasting world record was actually set here, with Mr. Bean's 32.818 set back on March 29th of 2011. It seems only fitting now, 10 years later, that the first 31-second time on this track also comes in the month of March, with Logan being the first one to get the job done here. Logan barely missed the first 31-second time with his previous world record of 32.005 set on January 24th of this year. Comparing both Logan's current and former world record, the 31.882 was pretty clean overall for Logan's standards. Lap 1 was a little shaky for Logan, being close to 0.1 behind entering lap 2. After lap 1, the lap slowly got better for Logan with an above average lap 2 and a great lap 3, with Logan having a slightly faster lap 2 and a monster of a lap 3, beating the previous record's lap 3 by 165 milliseconds. Lap 3 had a great pipe bounce, fence hit, and recovery thereafter for Logan, which made for a very strong finish to the first 31-second run being driven here. The current best known splits gave a time of 31.408 as of today's upload date. It's crazy to see how much time has been passed between the first sub 33 happening with Mr. Bean's 32.890 on December 28th of 2010, and now Logan's first sub 32 with a 31.882 on March 1st. This is a very strong run for Wario's Gold Mine's first 31-second time. Hats off to you, Logan, for this awesome achievement, with your efforts paying off big time. Next up, we head over to Moonview Highway. On March 5th, Luke would reclaim the world record from Breakson by 51 milliseconds with a time of 143.035, getting ever the more closer to the elusive first 142 on this track. Kicking off Luke's lap 1, it was average for Luke's standards for his lap 1s here. Most notable time losses came from losing time to wheelie turning before the curb trick, and thereafter having a slower sequence of the main turbo to wheelie at the bridge on lap 1. Apart from that, Luke and Breakson nearly tie on lap 1, being only 1 millisecond off into lap 2. On lap 2, apart from the first few turns for Luke, the rest of the lap was pretty good, highlighting the U-turn and the bridge section, making this as strong of a lap as it was. We can see just how much a great double trick can save in the comparison of Luke versus Breakson's run. Having a double trick each lap is of course most ideal for runs, but is very difficult to do properly and to have it save time. Having no bounces on the U-turn to the bridge transition with a favorable tight alignment also saves a nice chunk of time, helping to propel Luke's lap 2 to a 33.6 lap split, the first world record to have a 33.6 lap 2. Luke had a slightly delayed wheelie ending the lap from the last zipper, and as a result wasn't at maximal 97 km/h speed when the boost panel speed wore off, costing a small amount of time. Luke comments his lap 3 was quite poor in the run, with time losses coming from wheelie turns before the curb trick, wheelie turning on the straight during the bridge transition, and having double half chain wheelies on the straight. If Luke were to have had both chains as being full chain wheelies, he probably would have saved in the realm of maybe 60 to 80 milliseconds, as the second wheelie is just before hitting the boost panel section. The corner after the truck evasion was fairly wide, but the last turn was very good for Luke. Altogether, this was still good enough to reclaim the world record during March. Luke shares he has been trying to hit the 142 mark throughout March, having many fails on lap 3. Since Luke's 143.035 in March, he has set 4 times between Breakson's former record and Luke's current 143.035, with those times being a 143.042, a 043, a 061, and a 063. Luke notes all those runs have had a single trick on lap 2 as well, which is a big source of time loss, as we saw in the comparison previously of how much that can save over a single trick. Luke explains further that the double trick on lap 2 is extremely rare for him, noting he used to be able to get it at least once per session, but his consistency dropped off significantly, and ultimately feels this is the main reason why he hasn't gotten the sub 143 yet. As much of a time gain the double trick can provide during runs here, a 142 can still happen with a single trick lap 2, with Luke having fails already which were good enough to potentially get the sub 143. In the end, however, it will be a more manageable task if you nail the double trick due to how much it saves. Wrapping up Luke's progress here this month, Luke will return to Moonview Highway at some point in the future to try and finish the job here, getting the first 142 on Moonview Highway, which Luke mentions his first fail was back in September 2020. I'd recommend checking out the October 2020 World Record review for the Moonview Highway activity that month, where a fail Luke had at the very end of lap 3, when corrected, would have been enough for the first 143 at the time. Big congrats on reclaiming the world record here in March, Luke, and good luck on finishing your goal here where you decide to pick this up again. Next up, we have some massive activity over on Maple Treeway Glitch. On March 6th, Jay Cool would set his first time trial world record for Mario Kart Wii on this track, and becomes the first player to pull off a 3-for-3 world record glitch run on Maple Treeway. Jay Cool beat Justin's previous world record by over 1 second with a time of 143.980. Later in March, Logan would join in on the new strategy and set 2 world records here during March as well. On March 12th, Logan beat Jay Cool's record by over 1 second with a time of 142.329, and 5 days later on March 17th, made another improvement close to 1 second with a finishing time of 141.448. There's a fair amount to unpack here for March on this track. Maple Treeway has gone through different iterations of being glitched since 2012. From 2012 to 2018, the world record would do a 1-for-3 glitch run, as doing the glitch strategy at the time required more than 1 mushroom. A 1 shroom strategy has been possible and performed with tool assist, but was very difficult to do as it involved turning and semi-blindly shrooming at the same time, getting airtime off the tree root, not hitting any invisible walls, and clearing enough distance to land on the other side. Justin would be the first person to pull this off any world record run back in 2018, and the record would trade hands between Justin, Troy, and Breakson. Justin would be the one in the end to push the track down a considerable amount to a 145.448 in June of 2020, and had a sizable lead on the rest of the pack. Since the one shroomer strategy is so difficult and so precise, the strategy has been to do a 2 for 3 glitch run, with the one shroomer on one lap and the normal glitch method using 2 shrooms on another lap. Benny would later on discover a strategy which would allow for a much easier time to do a one shroomer lap, unlocking the potential for a 3 for 3 run to be done humanly. This involves taking advantage of the terrain in the hut area. If you maneuver just right, you can actually get stuck in the ground. Moving carefully at a slow speed to make sure you don't clip into the road again too early, you can get into position, do several partial turns to the left for a proper alignment to execute the glitch. Once you have the correct alignment, you use your mushroom to do the glitch. What's happening here is when you clip back on top of the road, it allows you to get airtime off the floor. Combine this with being at max speed from the mushroom, this allows you to have the proper height and distance to surpass the gap with one mushroom and complete the rest of the lap. This is a far more practical strategy that has completely revamped Maple Treeway glitch runs for RTA runners once more, unlocking the potential for a 3 for 3 run being done here. Fittingly, on February 28th, Benny completed the first 3 for 3 glitch run on Maple Treeway humanly with a 1:53.776. Absolute biggest props and credits to Benny for this clever innovation, taking advantage of the track's terrain and mechanics, allowing for this feat to be accomplished humanly. The domino effect will be the world records we will be discussing now after looking back on the developments leading us here now. J. Cool is a very accomplished speedrunner for many years now in other video games apart from Mario Kart Wii, notably Super Monkey Ball and Super Mario Sunshine, and doing several runs at the game's done quick marathons. It was awesome to see J. Cool set his first time trial record for Mario Kart Wii in March, and learning his backstory for this track in particular was very interesting. J. Cool says his efforts on Maple Treeway were a bit out of nowhere. He wasn't heavily invested in anything related to the game outside of occasionally dabbling with speedruns and custom tracks in about 8 or 9 years. His friend Tony SMB, former Waluigi Stadium glitch world record holder, shared Benny's first 3 for 3 glitch run we discussed previously with J. Cool. He recently started playing Mario Kart Wii at the time, so seeing this feed greatly piqued his interest given his prior history with the track. He became friends with Tony when Maple Treeway was first glitched during fall 2012. He grinded this glitch with Tony and other players like Demon and Carter. At its peak, to his memory, J. Cool reached either 2nd or 3rd worldwide here on day 1 of the glitch being discovered in 2012, but it couldn't keep up thereafter. J. Cool said he always felt like this was a bit of a missed opportunity to get a world record in the game, with the standards for every other category being too high for him at the time. The idea of having a spot in the world record history of the game, even if short, was really cool to him, which I can relate to as well many years ago. Fast forward from 2012 to March 1st of this year, this new strategy presented itself as an opportunity for J. Cool to get another chance to accomplish what he attempted nearly 9 years ago on the exact same track. J. Cool feels this motivation is what allowed him to really focus his effort to put in the work to make this happen as quickly as he did. When going for attempts here, J. Cool mentions he had a lot to learn apart from the new one shroom strategy, as he has never played this track with the spear before. He did a task of the entire track 3 for 3 on Dolphin to see if this strategy could even beat Justin's 145 world record to start, and after several runs he managed a high 144. J. Cool used save states to make practicing more efficient for the hardest parts of each lap, to build some consistency for runs in real time on console. The hardest section to learn was the new glitch strategy itself, as he only had reference to the video of Benny's run, and found some inconsistency of getting enough height when using the shroom during his practice. J. Cool eventually realized he needed to wheelie slightly before using the mushroom, especially when being closer to the edge of the floor. An underrated part of the strategy is the wheelie taps to position yourself, as you can't do them too rapidly or else you will pop out of the ground too early. J. Cool found the most consistent and fast results with about 5 taps, with J. Cool referencing Benny would do about 7 taps in his first 3 for 3 run mentioned previously. J. Cool also noticed a visual cue he learned of the yellow light from Funky's head on the minimap helps for the angle on the mushroom. Another difficult part of learning runs here was the entry into the tree hunt on lap 1, having grinded this section for quite a while before he saw any consistent results. Once feeling satisfied with enough speed and consistency for parts of the run, he went to console for actual attempts at the world record. J. Cool shared his progression of his attempts in real time, going from a 2 for 3 run using the new shroom strategy once and quickly set a top 10 time, committing to the 3 for 3 grind on March 4th. J. Cool notes Logan's progress he had streaming his attempts around the 150 territory, which pushed him to grind even harder to try and be the first person to get a 3 for 3 world record run. Prior to his run, he notes a fail that could have been a mid 142 pace, but unfortunately failed the shroomless bump strategy after the cannon on lap 3. J. Cool's first 3 for 3 run was actually a high 145, which lost a significant amount of time with missing a standstill mini turbo and losing speed after one of the mushrooms. Just 1 hour later, after his first 3 for 3 run, he set the 143.980, being the first 3 for 3 world record run on Maple Treeway glitch. J. Cool says achieving this had such an intense feeling of satisfaction and achievement that it was on par with his first ever Games Done Quick marathon speedruns, and that's incredible to hear a comparison like that. As for his run, J. Cool did not have much to comment on specifically, noting it was a clean run throughout with no notable mistakes. J. Cool highlights the main time saves for future runs will come from getting low cannons, faster glitch entries into the HUD area, and overall more optimized driving. After setting this run, he forecasts at least a sub 140 is possible given his previous paces. Long term, he would like to get at least a 139 time here and getting at least one or more low cannons in future runs. For now, J. Cool looks forward to grinding other tracks after recently joining the players page and improving his speedrun record for 32 tracks in other categories like the Nitros and Retros. This was an awesome story, hearing the backstory of how J. Cool came so close to getting the world record when Maple Treeway was first glitched with its initial glitch strategy way back in 2012, close to 10 years ago now. After seeing it come full circle with a new glitch strategy, becoming the first player to set a 3 for 3 glitch world record run here. Biggest congrats to your accomplishment here, J. Cool, and best of luck for your future grinds here. Later on in March, Logan was in the mix of the Maple Treeway hype for the new one streamer strategy. Logan's 142.329 was a milestone achievement for him, as it's pushed him up to having 10 world records at once for the first time. He joins the likes of Luke, Fox, and Yaviron, who have held 10 or more world records at one time. Logan says he never attempted the old glitch strategy of the one streamer on the tree route like we discussed previously. With that in mind, Logan was new to the Maple Treeway glitch category when jumping in on the action during March. Logan did not have anything to comment on for his 142 world record run during March. The 141 record was pretty clean for Logan apart from the lap 3 entry that lost a good amount of time, and ultimately wants a 139 time here with no low cannons as a goal. As you may have picked up during this segment of the review, you can save a considerable amount of time through the glitch entry into the tree hut area alone. If you do it just right, you will have minimal slowdown, being able to progress through the grass right away to the glitch area. However, if you smack into the hut itself, you will lose your momentum and have to slowly accelerate again. This can easily lose at least in the realm of 1 to 3 seconds over an entire run, depending on how bad of a hit you have and how many laps you have that happen on. Despite the hut hit on lap 3, this was still good enough to have another significant improvement and achieve the first 141 for Maple Treeway glitch. Massive congratulations for the immense accomplishment of holding 10 world records at once and adapting to the new strategy very quickly and making your mark here. Best of luck for future improvements here, Logan. Next up, we had another milestone achieved, being on Dry Ruins. On March 14th, Justin would be the first person to sub 147 on Dry Ruins, improving his former world record by 142 milliseconds with a time of 146.972. The progression of this record has been wild since the beginning of this year, with Justin implementing new strategies for runs and pushing the bounds with going for the tomb exit wheelie strategy on more than one lap during runs. The comparison of Justin's 146 and his previous world record is really interesting to watch. Missing the chain wheelie that occurs here on laps 1 and 2 can lose a decent chunk of time, which is one area for improvement Justin comments on. We can see how strong of a run Justin's previous world record was into lap 3, with Justin being close to 200 milliseconds behind into lap 3. With polished driving and clean execution, Justin was level with his former world record into the wall glitch lap 3. Justin unfortunately misses the trick altogether, losing a considerable amount of time. Judging by the gap made, I estimate this was a time loss of around 250 to 350 milliseconds. However, Justin would once more defy the odds and pull out a clutch tomb exit wheelie strategy on lap 3 on the right side, gaining all the time loss back and beating the world record by as much as he did. The time save from this strategy was always apparent just by looking at it on its own, but seeing it in a comparison like this really shows how immense of a time save this brings per lap. This marks the first world record run on Dry Ruins, which pulls this off successfully on all 3 laps now as well. Justin's 147.137 back in January attempts it all 3 laps, but he did not get the wheelie out on lap 2. And Justin's previous world record of 147.114 only attempts it on laps 1 and 2 for comparison. Justin has wanted a much bigger time cut because he has had the potential for a long time, but he gladly takes a sub 147. Justin believes this track still has a very long way to go, and I agree. There is definitely potential for a mid 146 with the current strategies that are being used now, especially from the large time loss from missing the trick on the wall glitch lap 3 that we saw previously. I've said it for a long time, but it always takes just one person to grind out a very hard strategy in real-time runs, and eventually the player base adapts and more players follow suit, elevating the standard as time goes on. Big congrats on your feat here, Justin, and good luck on your future attempts when you decide to pick this back up down the line. Now we head over to Grumble Volcano for some no glitch activity. On March 26, Barney would reclaim the world record from Jared by 43 milliseconds with a time of 151.542. This was a real treat to see during March. Barney has held the world record here numerous times between 2016 to 2018. This is the first time he has had the world record on this track again in nearly 2.5 years. Barney's journey to reclaim the world record here spanned a little over a month, taking his time from a 152.144 to his new record set. It took about 2 weeks to get his first 151 here with a 151.925, with a quick improvement to a 151.876. After that, Barney got stuck for roughly 3 weeks before he had a massive improvement from his 151.876 directly to his newest world record during March. Barney knows he really could have improved from his older personal best a lot sooner during that few week span, hitting a wall during that time frame, which I can relate to as well. Grinding for so long, but for some reason the improvements are stagnant for a while. For Barney's new world record, he comments the run was quite sloppy, not the quote-unquote look he would want for his world record run on the track. Barney missed a main turbo at the end of lap 1, but this allowed him to get the lucky ramp strategy to regain the time lost into the final ramp entering lap 2. Barney would also get the lucky ramp strategy at the end of lap 2, but would get launched into the off-road. Barney says that both of these sequences are about even with not getting a lucky ramp strategy, but comments it just doesn't look very nice. Barney is very happy with the lap 3 performance, which was driven quite well for him. This lap was so massive compared to other world record runs in the past, as Barney had an almost flawless execution of the task mushroom strategy at the end of the lap, apart from not getting the super low jump in front of the finish line according to Barney. This lap beats the previous best known split on lap 3 by almost 200 milliseconds as well. Apart from this strategy looking really cool, it's impressive how much this truly saves per lap, but it's of course difficult to pull off correctly. Barney even comments he did not think he was anywhere near close to the world record in this run before crossing the finish line, only expecting around a 151.7 completion time. Barney decided to spend some time practicing in Dolphin with save states to try and grind the nuances with the strategy. noting previously he has only practiced with save states for practice for strategies used during online racing. Only a few days prior to starting this run, Barney started practicing the strategy as he saw Justin use this in Justin's PB of a very low 152. Barney also used a ghost when practicing with save states to see how much time save he could get in comparison. By doing this, Barney found the optimal version of the strategy stays around 100 milliseconds compared to an ideal lap 3 ending, which is getting the lucky ramp trick and a perfect cut. However, Barney says the quote-unquote expected time save is a lot higher, as getting a perfect cut and lucky ramp is not something you expect to get. 1 to 2 days before setting this run, Barney decided he was going to go for this task strategy on all of his lap 3s during his attempts. Barney notes pulling off the strategy is not actually that hard, noting the hard part is landing a good one. He notes you can lose 100 milliseconds alone from missing the frame perfect low jump on the ramp before the strategy. After that, you can still lose a lot of time depending on how much air you get off the ramp, combined with how tight you land and the angle you get from the sequence. In Barney's run, he knows this is the ideal iteration of it. Later on, after setting this run, to test it out, he used task code to copy his ghost inputs until this part of his lap 3, and to see if he could land a better version of it, and he could only manage to improve it by around 30 milliseconds on the strategy itself, followed by another 100 milliseconds if he got the super low jump on the last ramp. This strategy may appear to be risky with a lot of potential for more time lost than time gained, but Barney says this strategy isn't as much of a risk as it may seem. Barney says a strong lap 3 ending is exceptionally hard to pull off regardless of what strategy you choose to use. Doing this strategy on laps 1 and 2 is more of a risk though, and has less potential time save according to Barney. Since the giant rock is still there on laps 1 and 2, you have less room to work with. Additionally, you have to be more conscious of your alignment and transition into laps 2 and 3, especially lap 3 with the right portion of the road already being down, compared to lap 3 where the objective is physically crossing the line to finish the run, not worrying about a preceding lap afterward. Despite this, Barney says a 3 for 3 task mushroom strategy run is definitely feasible and expects the world record to be a 3 for 3 run at some point in the future. Barney has not played Grumble Volcano much after setting this world record, but he would like to try and improve it once his motivation returns. He would like to push it down to the 151.2 range and maybe even close to the sub 151 mark in the future, as he wants to try and finish a run with this strategy 3 for 3 eventually. Barney keeps tracks of his best splits he hits, which currently are a 37.124, 36.959, and 36.911 with lucky ramps, and a 37.178, 37.008, and 36.911 with no lucky ramps. There's certainly more in store here in the future from the looks of it after reviewing Barney's run with his nicely detailed feedback and the precedent being set of having the strategy pulled off in one lap of a world record run now. Wonderful job and congrats on reclaiming the world record here after all this time, Barney, and best of luck on your future grinds here. We wrap up the activity during March with some significant activity on GCN Waluigi Stadium Glitch. On March 26, Hunter would beat Logan's previous world record by over 1 second with a time of 1:42.226. And just 1 day later, Hunter improved once more, back-to-back days, achieving the first 1:41 time on GCN Waluigi Stadium with a 1:41.555. This is Hunter's first world record in over 5 years since 2016, with his last world record being on N64 DK's Jungle Parkway Glitch. Hunter was so close to getting the world record on this track back in December 2020, when he had a 1:44.401 run, where he accidentally used an extra mushroom he had from doing the glitch hop shroomless. His motivation would last until mid-January, but couldn't nail any good attempts. After a break, he started streaming attempts here in late March. He had advice from Core that it looked like he was streaming too late in the setup for the glitch. Correcting this led Hunter getting a ton of good attempts, as on the very next day, he finished the 1:42.226. Hunter's lap 1 was very strong, getting the backwards hop that launches you forwards with a lot of momentum. And this lap actually ended up being a new best known split by a fair margin at the time the record was set. For lap 2, the entire sequence of events from the double zipper turn to the half pipe turn was the biggest source of time loss for Hunter. He had to settle for an up trick wall bounce due to his alignment over the traditional down trick wall bounce, and had a bouncy mushroom and shroom exit leading to a bad angle into the half pipe turn, leading to the invisible wall hit at the zipper section. Hunter was able to keep himself composed under pressure during lap 3, holding out to get the job done during this run. Hunter says when he crossed the line, the feeling was as good, if not better, than his first world record he ever set on GCN Peach Beach almost 6 years ago. It was extra sweet for Hunter because of the fact he had that huge fail, but was still able to fight back and get the record in the end. He says his reaction was a mixture of happiness and releasing every ounce of frustration he felt with the fail from the 144.401 discussed previously. Hunter was satisfied with his spot on the leaderboard, but the run still had several major mistakes he was not satisfied with, which leads to the very next day setting the 141.555. The previous day of hitting the 142.226 still hadn't hit him completely, so he didn't expect to hit anything on the following day when streaming attempts. He figured since he had only successfully pulled off the glitch in total 2 times, it could take him another 3 months to make one. Hunter was surprised hitting it again on this day, but wasn't nearly as nervous when he made it again. The backwards hop wasn't quite as fast as seen in the comparison, but was still good enough for a solid sub 24 second lap 1 according to Hunter. There was the fleeting thought previously of saving the mushroom for lap 3 in case he failed to potentially try a 2 for 3 run, but he didn't think twice about it in this run. He knew there was a lot of time to save, so he went all out during the rest of the run, and playing it safe never crossed his mind and didn't realize it until after the run. Everything went extremely well for his standards apart from the double zipper turn, which is difficult to do properly in the Bowser bike, let alone the Bullet bike of all things. Hitting a 39.3 lap shroomless is very good for Hunter in practice, and hitting it in a world record run was phenomenal for him. The last turn was wide and missed the last wheelie, but it was all worth it in the end for the 555 for Hunter. Hunter has hit actually 2 of the same lap splits on lap 1 being exactly 23.831, with the other one being done with Baby Luigi as a fun fact. Both of the no glitch laps are the fastest laps driven in a glitch world record for laps 2 and 3 at the time of the record being set, as Hunter highlights as well. Big things are in store on the horizon here, as Hunter is going for 2 for 3 glitch runs now, streaming often on his Twitch channel, which is linked in the description below, along with all the other runners as well. Hunter has already had over 20 attempts at a second glitch so far, one which actually had a bypass getting very close. Hunter is confident he'll be able to pull it off, and notes a 2 for 3 is completely feasible, as the lap you only use 1 mushroom and have no mushrooms left is to go off the ramp backwards. You can simply fall off and get respawned behind the ramp, go to the last key checkpoint, then move forward to complete the lap. The fastest method, which would actually save around 1.5 seconds, would be to actually fall off as you're getting the backwards hop like Logan did in his first glitch world record here. Hunter says you have to land in the chocolate cake section for the good respawn, however, as if you land in the chocolate syrup section, you respawn right before the line and will not get a lap count. Hunter wants to do this conservatively and not throw away a chance at a 2 for 3, so he will be going for as much distance as he can to play it safe. Hunter is very happy to not only have hit these times, but to get them on stream as well, and is very appreciative of the support he has had shown his way during his grinds all this time. He gives a thank you to Core and EJ for helping him with major aspects of the glitch, to Caleb and Jaden for their constant support, and Logan for being nothing but classy and was the first one to congratulate him on his world records here. I still remember when I learned about Hunter's failed run of 144.401 back in December, and watching how heartbreaking of a run that was with the accidental usage of the action mushroom in mid-air. It is always satisfying to see someone pull through under goals in the end and not give up, and Hunter's feats exemplifies that nicely, especially with these world records being his first world records hit in over 5 years for him. Big congratulations to you, Hunter, and best of luck on the future quest for the 2 for 3 run. And with that, the third month of 2021 Mario Kart Wii Time Trials is in the books. We had a lot of awesome milestones achieved during March. 2021 has been an insane year for the time trial scene already, yielding 29 world records set in the first 3 months of the year. As mentioned previously, during this month, I'll be catching up on the world record activity for April and May. Thank you all for your patience, and I hope you continue to enjoy the series, highlighting and celebrating our community's greatest accomplishments. I will see you all very soon to review the world record activity for April and May 2021 later on this month. Take care.